Hello, my name is Matthew Dye, and I am the painter for the Art Shack. And this video, I'm going to the paints that I used and my final thoughts that I have about this painting. So, let's get into it. My first is, I use a lot of paints for this, so bear with me. So I got Winston Newton 21 Ultramarine. There's another word there, but I can't see it. Winston & Newton Artist Oil Color Permanent Rose. Winston & Newton Oil Color No. 1 Permanent Alizarin Crimson. Winston & Newton Oil Colors No. 47 Dioxin Purple. Winston & Newton Oil Colors 33 Indian Red. Now I have to say, with Indian Red, it's a very deep red. Use this very sparingly. Winston & Newton Oil Color No. 6 Cadmium Red Deep Hue. Never mind that color. Winston & Newton Oil Color No. 3 Burnt Umber. Winston & Newton Oil Color No. 16 Cobalt Violet Hue. Winston & Newton Oil Color No. 66 Cerulean Blue. Soho Oil Color No. 48 Sap Green. And Soho 40 Titanium White. You might ask, why such a large thing of white? Well, it's quite simple. You use a lot of white, so that's more affordable than buying little tubes of white and running out. So with every color I use, I mix a little bit with white, because you're not supposed to use color straight out of the tube. It's just to give it more depth. So with that said, some other things I use for this is Winston & Newton Artist Painting Medium, which is stored into this nice little crockery that used to hold mustard. It has a nice little sealable lid. I got that at Aldi's at Croc with the mustard in it. Then I ate the mustard, so now I have the Croc. Alright, I use Turpenoid. It's a turpentine substitute. It works just as well as turpentine, and I prefer turpentine compared to mineral spirits. Make sure you get the odorless, because if you get the odored, you're in for a bad time. I used one time, I used the odored one. It was a mistake. That's what they had. Like, I went to Walmart and got some. And I had a migraine for a couple of days, and I was not feeling well for about a week. So make sure you get the odorless one, and also make sure that you have a window open. They say a well-ventilated area. I just say have a room with a window open. So it could even be cracked. Just have fresh air coming in. Now I put my white oils into these containers. You could get these at the Dollar Tree, and it makes it a lot easier to manage than having to pop open that can. That can, you have to have like a screwdriver to pop it open. Plus, this minimizes this minimizes cross-contamination with other colors. So you really want to make sure that you do something like this especially when you have big tubs of color like that. And I just use a cheapo palette knife I got at Walmart. It's plastic, and that's how I dig this stuff out. And I keep my turpenoid in this container. This is a silicone container with a metal coil. This is not my favorite, but this is a budget for new painters. So I'm planning on upgrading to a metal container with a removable grate. The issue with this one is that this coil doesn't remove very well. Plus, it sort of gets smashed down over the time, and it's hard to rush your, take your brush across it to really get it clean. So you get a lot of issues with improper, brushes not being completely clean, and you also have this ongoing issue with sediment. And the paint brushes I use are Mongoose hair brushes. Now, these are very expensive. They're about $35 for 4. My suggestion for new artists is boar hair is a good. I prefer all natural hair. Now, these brushes are smoother than boar hair, but I feel like they hold a lot more paint. And also, I glide, and I use very small amounts of paint. So, like I basically dab my paint brush and get just basically here full of paint on both sides, and that's how I paint. So I don't go above any further than this. But Mongoose hair, I also have some other ones. I think I have some boar hair. I would say away from synthetic, they don't hold the paint very well. So that is an issue. I also use a disposable palette. Disposable palettes are great because they're easy to clean up. And this is like a wax paper, covered paper. You just put your paint on top of it. I also like that it's not white, so you actually see the color of the paint. I highly suggest that. My issue with a lot of palettes is, number one, yeah, the wood ones might look great. It's just they're hard to clean and upkeep. Now, when I was in art school, we would use just glass, and that's what my actual stand is. It's just a glass top with some metal on for the framing, and glass is really easy to clean and doesn't require a lot of upkeep if you don't mind getting scratched. So that's another idea for somebody on a budget. So you can use the glass, that glass tabletop you saw on the side of the road. Pick that up, and you could use that, and you just, when the paint dries, you could take a putty knife and just drag it across the glass and clean it up that way, and just rinse it off. Really easy to use. And if you have a table, you can put it just on top, and you have your palette. So that's the materials I use. That's the paints that I used for this project. Now, when I do, these brushes have not yet been cleaned. My wife will actually show you how to properly clean a brush because she complains that I don't. But between each project, I clean my brushes, but after I put it in the turpenoid, I use studio wipes at the end of the project to clean off the brushes and let them sort of set for a little bit. So that's always it's a good mental break knowing that you're done with one project. So let's get into this painting. This canvas is a 24 by 36. It's a linen canvas. Linen canvas are smoother and a little bit more tricky to play with than your traditional duck canvas, which you can find almost anywhere. And these also are a little bit more expensive. So keep that in mind when you're painting. I started out on duck canvas. So a little bit about my background. I took art seriously probably in junior high. I've been drawing and painting since I could hold a pencil, I think. I have a degree. I have an associate's degree in fine arts with a focus on drawing and painting, and a minor in pottery. And I also have my bachelor's degree in graphic design and illustration. So, and I am a commercial artist. So a lot of the fine art stuff that I'm going to be painting for this channel is just for me. It's my expression on canvas, because I do commercial art, and you don't do a lot for yourself, you do what your clients want. So, and I love my job and everything. It's nice to have that escapism and mental splash, as I like to say it. So this painting is called The Waves of Saturn. And my wife came up with that name because I didn't know what to call it. And it is oil on linen. So let's get into my thoughts. Or let's get into my process. Let's get into my process first. So my process was I would come in here, paint for about 2 hours, because I use a GoPro to film myself. And I like the more dynamic way of a GoPro feels compared to just a static. And yes, my first few videos were all over the place, and I apologize for that headache. I finally found the right angle and everything, so, and I continue to work on that angle, and not have so much stuff drop down, like my palette, for instance. So my process was to come in here for about 2 hours for the past week and a half, and I would stream music. I mostly listen, during this entire process, I listened to more psychedelic type stuff, TV on radio, and just a slew. I actually have a playlist on Spotify that I reserve for mostly just doing art. It gets me into the right headspace. A lot of jazz type stuff, and I think I have some Goya on there, some Goya Psytrance, and just an array of music, because I have such a wide enjoyment of music. So I came in, set that down, closed the door, and strung that, hit the record button. And I do apologize, there are a few steps missing from this painting, because I either forgot to hit the record button, or I thought I hit it and it didn't record. So some of the, I guess, more intricate stuff, mostly doing with this thing, didn't get filmed, and that sort of irritates me. I'll do better next time. Obviously this channel's growing and all that fun stuff. So when I came, so originally this is the 4th iteration of this idea, and I had 2 elements that I was really playing around with. So one element was this gyroscope like thing, and this cathedral, like the window of a cathedral without the stained glass. And I was really trying to do more with just color. So I came in and I was like, I just want to do color. And I just want to have these 2 elements and really nothing else. So, and I do surreal art compared to abstract or anything like that, because I enjoy taking things I see in reality and seeing how I can make it into sort of a dreamlike state. And that's sort of my, I just really like that dreamlike state, but still having that boundary in reality. And it helps me with my reality. I mean, it helps me with still like form and function that you would normally do in a realistic piece, in a realist piece, but you're also able to incorporate impressionism and dreams. And a lot of my paintings are dreams that I've had, so in one form or another. So this was sort of a dream. I dreamed of this, and I dreamed of this. And the rest of it just sort of came to me, as you can say. Either the music was speaking, but emotionally I was, let's say, more in turmoil because of things that were going on, both in the culture and in my personal life. So this was a way to get out that sort of frustration. And that's a great thing about art. It's a way to get a frustration without hurting anybody, and hopefully you make a beautiful piece of art that somebody will appreciate someday. So let's go through some of the elements of it. So again, I did this, and I wanted this cathedral style, this cathedral idea, and I really wanted to go with something a little bit more dilapidated, something that's been there for a long time that hasn't been looked at. So that's why it's sort of worn down by the weather. Maybe like a civilization was there once and this was an artifact. I don't know. And I incorporated a chalice and key. My wife thinks it's a leg. I let that up to your interpretation. I use occultic imagery a lot of times in my artwork because I have an interest in the occultic knowledge. The gyroscope, I really like the way that gyroscopes look, and so it gave it sort of this mechanical central focus point. Maybe it's causing the creation of the waves, and possibly, terraforming the environment. I really have no story behind this. I don't have stories behind my work. I leave it up to the viewer to interpret it the way they feel. So I have that, and then the colors. I started off with a light, very light yellow backing, and the main purpose for that yellow backing is so all the other colors would pop. Like the blues and the reds and the oranges and all that other, all those other colors. Because if you're not careful, you can overdo it. And I used to overdo my artwork a lot. And I've learned to relax on my stuff and, just hit it. I don't know the best way to describe it. It's just not overdoing it. It's easy to do, and every painter does it at some point or another. You want to refine that edge, and then all that then just becomes sort of like a blurred blob is the best way to put it, that it has no definition. So there was that, and then I added, and then I painted this, and then sort of like this tree growth. And then, you can see the videos, and except for the, some of the videos I've missed filming, you can see my entire process. And I just, when I got down here towards the end, it felt very like there was something missing. I just had this piece and nothing else, so I added these bubbles in. Bubbles because I felt like there was a lot of void within this section here. So I added those bubbles just to sort of give it some more depth and something intriguing to look at. There was a few parts of this painting, and that I was like, I don't know where I'm going to go with this, or I've never done this before, so I'm really starting to question myself. And one of those areas was these waves. These waves, I started really questioning myself. I started putting down the blue, and I'm like, I don't know how to do waves. And I just thought it through, and I was like, I'm just going to learn. This is the only way I'm going to learn how to do it. So I just started painting, and I was like, well, I'm going to, have these white caps to them, and add this depth of color, and I think they came out okay. And I felt the same way about these balls of ice or bubbles. My wife calls them balls of ice because they're dripping and they're not transparent. And that's fine. To do transparent type stuff like that is hard to do. And so, and then for the top, it was another area of I don't really know where I'm going with this. At first, I sort of had these like jellyfish creatures, and I really didn't feel like they fit in to the artistic piece. So I made them into sort of this Aurora Borealis type figure up, feeling up here, and just give it this sort of like weird interdimensional psychedelic feel. That was my, really that's what it turned out to be, and that was sort of my thought process, instead of focusing on form, focusing on color mostly. Okay, and thank you for tuning into the Art Check, and let's continue to create some work. Alright, bye now.